We'll just do 10 minutes on a worked example then.
Yeah.
So this is now down to you. Get rid of the cake. Don't want that. No. And we will use the one you worked on first. But I want you to change the mission now. And each of you on your tables is going to take 2 boxes. And we're going to use an organisation in the room as a case study. So what I want is a small organisation in the room, and this will do some of the work for you that you might need to do back at base, that knows what your mission is and can give us a mission statement. And it isn't an organisation that's too complicated and too complex. We don't want one running lots and lots of projects. So is there a guinea pig in the room? Anybody would like to give us their mission?
Who wants a team of experts who
Who
will just solve their problem?
Who wants to have some of their work done for them?
We don't have problems, only challenges.
Right, solve their challenge.
Can we put 14 to 16? Anybody want to provide alternative education for 14 to 16-year-olds who are at risk?
Yes.
Of being excluded.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you all write that in your mission box now? Take off all those words. You can leave on the 4 words that help us, if you like. The delivering, the reporting, the running, and the reviewing. If you want to leave those on just to remind you. Then, because it's Sid's organisation, we'll have you, Sid, your table do the goals around internal processes. And remember, we think of needs, then we try to make them into goals. And also, you can do the funders, this table. And over here, I want you to put the client hat on and think, if I'm a 14 to 16-year-old at risk of exclusion, what are my needs? And therefore, what would the goals be for that organisation? And I want you to think about a different hat, reflection and improvement. To say, if I'm the parent of this child and I know a bit about, running things, how would I want them to reflect on their processes to make sure that those processes keep improving and keep meeting my child's needs? So you're doing client standpoint, reflection and improvement, and you're doing funders and internal processes. We're going to spend about 10 minutes on that and do Sid's homework for him. Okay?
Again. With regards to work,
The school, I would class the stakeholders as being 2, because the students are stakeholders, as well as the referrers who are stakeholders.
So
And
it's
then
different delivery.
So that's what you're doing to show this what this is working. Yeah?
More education yourself. Role playing and looking at what you're doing, reflecting on it and deciding how you would improve it.
What are you going to take? What elements are you going to take as being quote success?
Look at many of your...
The length of time somebody engages with it?
Okay, you need to
This comes back to the
You could go on forever. Have you finished, guys, over there? Yeah? There's a point made on this table, you could go on forever. That's why we decided.
my immediate reaction.
What we suggest to you, that you do this back at base as a time-limited activity, and you try to concentrate on one particular project that you do, that you know you want to analyse. You can do it for the whole organisation if you like, if it's a very simple organisation, and if you've got that top-level view. But if not, pick something that you want to make work better, a project that you're running, and do it on that. And as you get used to this technique, it becomes more natural. Believe me, I've been standing up doing it about 3 or 4 times, and I can already see when things start to go a bit astray. And that's why we practice it so many times today, because goal setting in this way is not very familiar in our sector, and it is the basis for everything else. Okay, let's have a look. We'll start over here with the goal setting for the client's standpoint. And I'd like you to listen, Sid, and see what you say. And also, Debbie, if you're playing with them, we've got to be scribe, because again, if you can capture this and put it on your chart, and if you capture what they say and put it on your chart, then you'll both have a complete chart for later. Right, so what have you got for the goals for the client's standpoint?
Okay, well, we've got a few down here. We said that the client would like it to be both enjoyable and to provide some sense of achievement. So we've got those as 2. Yeah. that it should be not non-patronising, by which we meant that this is meant to be an alternative to school, so it should try and be not a very sort of me up here, you down there sort of relationship.
Kind of empowering.
Yeah, empowering, yeah. That it should be relevant and practical, yeah.
Yeah.
And that it should be flexible, in as much as this is, you know, we're not dealing with classes of 30 children at a time here, and we hope that we can actually tailor it to be different kinds of activities for different children to meet their individual needs and to be flexible in that way.
Sid, what do you think of those goals?
I accept pretty well all of them. As regards to flexibility, then the flexibility, that's ideal, that's okay in an ideal world, but flexibility, you're restrained. You have to be focused rather than, you have to be flexible in a focused
Within
atmosphere.
parameters.
Yeah, you must be, because you're teaching a subject, they're being referred to a subject, but you have to be flexible because no more so than any other thing, they are individuals.
Yeah.
And like I was just saying, that success to one is totally different to success for another, because they all come in at different, they all have different degrees,
Okay.
and it's knowing your subject.
What have you got for your funders and stakeholders? And I know you thought very carefully about the stakeholders, not just the funders.
Oh yeah, well the stakeholders are numerous,
Yeah.
because you have, first and foremost, the stakeholder is the client themselves, the
Yeah.
student.
Except we've got to separate them out, and we're already dealing with those
Okay,
in the
well
client's box.
let's make a list and then
Yeah.
prioritise.
Okay.
Okay, so the student is a stakeholder, the referrer,
Yeah.
because most come from people refer you, is a stakeholder,
Mhm.
but we're a charity,
Mhm.
and so therefore we have to apply for funding, so they're a stakeholder.
Yeah.
So the student's stakeholding position is they need to get something out of it. It has to be relative, that there has to be an end product, working towards a goal. The referrer wants to see value for money.
Okay.
Right, they're not coming there, it's not play school,
Mhm.
it is real
Value for money.
value
Yeah.
for money, and the stakeholder needs to see that money is, what they provided is being used appropriately.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to separate those three, but I don't know, I'll listen to others to
But
see how
they
they can
weren't-
separate.
They weren't very different from the things we set ourselves for the cake. It's about value for money.
Yeah,
It's about making sure that you're meeting the needs that you're saying that you're meeting for the people who you
Yes.
promised to meet them for.
yes,
So, and it's about reporting accurately. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not really that much different from the cake,
No.
which is interesting.
you've got to be honest,
Yeah.
you've got to be honest with
We've put on as well simple measurable achievements, and that could be like distance travelled by the client, education, which are the education appropriate to the client, and attendance data. So if they
So
turn up and what they do.
counting your outputs in different ways
Yes.
and making sure that you've got systems to count the outputs, which brings us neatly onto the internal processes. Have you got a system for data capture in the internal processes or not?
yes.
You haven't.
For
Not written down. Okay?
Scribble that
So
one down.
remember, so when you come to do this back at base, you'll think, hang on a minute, that was our goal for our funder. Have we got an internal process which is going to make sure this happens? And in doing it, you will ask yourself, and you'll find gaps, and you'll think, I put all these things in internal processes, but they're not really processes. What I need is a system for collecting the data accurately so I can tell the funders about the distance travelled and the money spent and the achievements hit and so on. So what do you have for your internal processes?